All right, ready to dive in.
Uh,
Today, we're tackling roofing. We've got some really interesting info from RoleCatcher, that platform that helps people figure out their career path.
I'm actually really excited about this one.
Me too. It's funny how, just the word roofer kind of conjures up this one image,
Yeah, totally.
but after going through all this material from RoleCatcher, it's clear there's so much more to it than just, shingles and hammers.
It's like that with so many skilled trades, though, right?
Right.
I think we see the final product, like a beautifully done roof, but we rarely stop to think about everything that goes into it, all the skills and knowledge.
Absolutely. And
Mhm.
speaking of skills, I was honestly surprised by some of what Rollcatcher highlight. I mean, building construction, obviously that makes sense, but coordination was a big one. Who knew roofers had to be such team players?
Right.
Yeah,
It makes sense, though, when you think about it, because they're coordinating with each other, obviously, for safety up on a roof, but then also working with other professionals like architects and engineers. It's very collaborative.
oh, that's a good point. I always just pictured roofers, like solo up on a rooftop,
Me.
but it's way more dynamic than that. It sounds like communication and problem solving are just as important as knowing how to use a nail gun.
Absolutely. Plus, customer service is a huge part of it, too. RoleCatcher actually listed customer and personal service as a key skill.
Really? See, that's not something I would thought of. I always assumed it was a pretty task-oriented job. Why is customer service so important in roofing?
Well, they're interacting directly with homeowners, right? Like explaining these sometimes complex processes, managing expectations. A roof is a big investment, so clear communication and that customer-centric approach are super important, especially if you're thinking about like self-employment, which we can get into.
That's a great point. So it's like this blend of technical skills and people skills.
Exactly. And that's really just scratching the surface. RoleCatcher also talked about the importance of continuous learning in this field, which is interesting.
Oh, how so?
Building codes change, new materials come out, techniques evolve. Roofers really need to stay updated to stay competitive.
It's amazing how much goes into a profession that honestly a lot of us probably take for granted. You've definitely given me a new appreciation for the complexity of roofing.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's all about understanding the why behind the what.
I like that. So roofing, way more to it than we often think. But how does a tool like RollCatcher help someone actually get into roofing? Let's say someone's listening and they're like, okay, roofing sounds kind of cool. What's their next step?
Well, this is where the AI features of this platform come in, which I think is super helpful. So imagine you're on a job board, right? Just scrolling through tons of listings, and then you see it. Roofing position catches your eye. Now, instead of like scrambling to bookmark it or write it down, they've got this plugin, RoleCatcher.capture. You literally click it, and it's saved to your own little job hub.
Wow, so no more spreadsheets trying to remember which website it was on.
Was
That
that
alone is pretty handy.
super organized?
Right.
But here's the really cool part. So remember all those skills we talked about? Coordination, customer service, the technical stuff. Well, this tool actually analyzes the job description, pulls out those keywords, and get this, it scores your resume against those skills.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So it's like having a little recruiter, basically telling you, hey, you might need to beef this part up. That's got to be super valuable, especially, like you said, it's a competitive job market out there.
Totally. And it's not just about pointing out what's missing. It'll actually help you fill those gaps. There's this AI-powered resume builder. It gives you suggestions for showcasing your skills better. You can even test out different versions of your resume and see which one scores highest for a specific job.
That's amazing. But, okay, let's talk about the interview, right?
Hmm.
Because that's where I feel like even if you have the skills, it can be nerve-wracking. Does RoleCatcher help with the interview process at all?
They do. They have this massive library of practice interview questions. Over 120,000, actually.
120,000.
I know, it sounds crazy.
Yeah.
But they're all tailored to different careers, different experience levels.
So you could find one specifically for roofing for someone who's just starting out.
Exactly. And you can filter by skills, industry, even seniority level. But here's the really cool part. You can record your practice sessions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you can see how you come across. It's like a personal rehearsal.
Watch yourself, how your body language is. That's huge.
Totally. You can analyze your tone, everything. And if you want even deeper feedback, they have this premium feature called Copilot AI.
Okay, now that sounds next level. Copilot AI, what does that do?
So remember how it analyzes job descriptions and resumes? This is applying that same AI power to your practice interview
Oh,
recordings.
wow.
It actually listens to your answers,
No way.
compares them to like what would be ideal responses, and then gives you personalized feedback.
So it's like having an interview coach in your pocket.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'll tell you if you need to work on your delivery, your content, maybe even your posture, who knows.
That's amazing.
It's all about empowering you to do your best. And you know what's even better? A lot of these resources, they're free.
Really?
I think that's amazing. It makes career tools accessible to everyone.
Totally. I love that. So we've mostly talked about the how-to of getting into roofing, which is super valuable. But what about the what if down the road? Like once you become a roofer, what are the career paths? Is it pretty straight or can you specialize?
That's a great question. And that's actually something RoleCatcher gets into, which I found super interesting. They have these example profiles of different roofers at various points in their careers.
Oh, I like that. So real people, real stories. These profiles sound like such a valuable resource,
Mhm.
especially for someone just starting out. What kind of insights do they offer?
They give you a glimpse into like the day-to-day, the career progression, even the personal qualities that help roofers succeed. Like there's this one profile of an entry-level roofer, and they talk about how important it is to like learn from the more experienced folks, to be super focused on safety and just their passion.
Yeah.
Their passion for the work really comes through.
It's cool to hear that even in a field that's so physically demanding, the passion still shines through. Did the profiles mention any, like, alternative career paths for roofers? Like, beyond the traditional, becoming a supervisor or starting your own business?
Oh, yeah, definitely. They talked about how additional training and certifications can open doors to more specialized roles. So, for example, you could become like a master of a specific roofing technique,
Right.
like those intricate tile roofs, or become an expert in installing solar panels, stuff like that.
Oh, interesting.
There's also project management, moving into the construction industry more broadly.
That's really cool. So you can start with the hands-on work and then kind of branch out into, like, more technical expertise or management. It seems like a career in roofing can actually lead to a lot of different places.
Exactly. It's not like a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. There's room to grow, to specialize, even for those who want to be their own boss.
Right, right.
And speaking of the future, did you know that even traditional trades like roofing are being impacted by technology? Which is kind of interesting to think about.
I was just thinking about that. We talked about AI's role in the whole job search part, but what about on the actual roof? How is technology changing the roofing industry itself?
We're seeing so many innovations, actually. Like drones are being used for roof inspections now,
Oh, wow.
which is amazing for safety, and it's way more efficient.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's software now that helps with like really precise measurements and calculations for materials, so less waste, things like that.
It's amazing how technology is making everything so much more, like, streamlined and, I imagine, accurate. It sounds like the future of roofing is going to be this, like, blend of traditional skills and these cutting-edge tools.
For sure. It's not about robots replacing humans, but more like humans and technology working together, which I think is cool. Roofers who embrace those advancements and like are willing to adapt are going to have a real advantage.
Absolutely. That's a really interesting perspective. So it seems like roofing, like a lot of industries, is in this constant state of evolution.
Totally. It's a really interesting time to be in this field for sure. The demand for skilled roofers, it's high. And like we've been talking about, with the right tools, training, and that willingness to kind of see where technology fits in, the possibilities are huge.
It's pretty exciting. So for anyone listening who's maybe a little intrigued by a career that's like hands-on and has all this potential, roofing is definitely worth checking out. It's physically demanding, yes, but it's also intellectually stimulating. You need people skills. And like we said, there's so many different ways your career can go. And with platforms like RoleCatcher, taking that first step is way less intimidating.
Exactly. Approach it with curiosity, be open to learning, and don't be afraid of those new technologies. Who knows what incredible innovations are coming next, right?
I'm excited to find out. And on that note, we'll leave our listeners to kinder those very possibilities. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of roofing. Until next time, keep those questions coming. And remember, sometimes the most unexpected paths lead to the most rewarding destinations.